Hey, welcome back to the Big Show. My name is Mateo, and I am about to drink a beer. No, really, this time I'm actually going to drink the beer. And I have a lot of beers that I want to talk about because while I was in London, I hit many beers. I'm going to completely surprise and shock you with the beer that I'm going to pull up right now. But this is one of the beers that I got to taste while I was in London, and is everybody ready for this? Excitement fills the air. It's a Budweiser. A Budweiser? I know, that's what you're asking me. Why would you taste a Budweiser? Well, this is the thing about crazy Budweiser in London and in England, actually proper, is because it actually tastes different. Now, what's actually awesome about this version of Budweiser is that it actually takes on a different flavor because of the fact that it's brewed in Britain. Because beer in Britain is a little more bitter. I know that's weird. You'd probably not expect that. Like, beer came from Britain, so why would it be different and why would it be bitter? Well, the question is, I don't know. I just have to assume it's the water, or it's just how people in England got used to drinking their beer. But all the beer in Britain is bitter. It's crazy. So much of the beer that I tasted, and there's going to be a list coming up shortly, but a lot of the actual beer that came from Britain I didn't really like because it was a little bitter, including this. It's weird because in America, Budweiser is just a really simple beer. It's really light, it's really crisp, it's just a beer that doesn't have taste. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, because there are many beers that everybody likes to drink, especially when they're, out to get hammered. There's a lot of beers that they will drink that the smoother, the easier, the better. But that is not the case when it comes to Budweiser in Britain, because Budweiser in Britain is more bitter, as I keep saying. But it's just fun with that alliteration. It was actually the first beer, because AJ didn't know we were coming, so didn't stock up on delicious beers for us. But it was the first beer that we actually got to taste while we were in Britain, and I was surprised at how bitter it was. Now, on the train trip that we took home from Cardiff to London, the beer I tried on that train trip was the Arkle, which is a British beer, and it too was really bitter. And so I started to really started connecting those thoughts of like, oh, okay. Now, while we were in Cardiff, we tried a beer which is very popular in Cardiff called Brains. Of course, I found this beer to be, the Brains beer, to be a little more sweeter than bitter. So that was a good plus, I thought, when it came to that beer. So that's exciting. Also, while we were in Cardiff, we tried the 01 and the 06. Both of those were delicious. Should you be getting to Cardiff and decide you need to choose a good beer, choose the Brains, because, how else are you ever going to say in your life that you actually drink Brains? Then go for the 01 and the 06. Then, of course, one of our last days while we were in London, we ended up going to Camden Breweries, which was an amazing little microbrewery that they had just north of Hampstead where we were. And this great little brewery had some amazing beers in it. The first one that I had tried was called the Byron Pale Ale. Now, there is an amazing sort of American hamburger joint that has been spreading all across London, and the name of that is Byron's. So if you go to London and you're looking for a good hamburger joint, because you're just craving one or something, I would definitely hit Byron's. It's amazing. And while you were there, hit the Byron's Pale Ale. Now, the Byron's Pale Ale is awesome. I mean, it was the first beer that I had suddenly oh, now this is what I'm looking for when it comes to a beer. But it's only made for Byron's, but it's made by the Camden Brewery. So going to Byron's, get the Camden Pale Ale, that would be definitely mine. So when we went in then to Camden, we got our choice to try out all of the beers, and all of them were exquisite in their own different way. Let me just give you some of the names of... no, there's, by the way, my bought that sticker while I was in. Okay, so here's a list of some of the awesome Camden beers that we tried while we were there. The Camden Ink, which was an awesome, really dark beer that was really delicious. One of my favorites, if not for the name alone, but in taste as well, which was called the Camden Fuck the Hater. Fuck the Hater. The Camden Unfiltered Wheat was really good, not bubblegummy like I expected it to be. The Camden Wells, which is good, the Camden USA, and the Camden Red Light Waltz. All of these were, the last three were a darker beer. We got to take some home in some awesome casks, and they were amazing. That's like what we had for dinner that night, and it was particularly awesome. So I would expect any of those beers for you to drink while I was there. Here's a complete list of all the beers that I drank. There it goes. Awesome. Now let's get into some pictures and some other things that I did while I was there. So here's a plaque from Trafalgar Square. Feel free to read that if you like. Then the beautiful National Museum, looking delicious there. Big shot of the tower in the middle of Trafalgar Square, and then right there in the background, Big Ben, with a nice little plaque, and then a close-up detail of another one of those plaques right there. So it's another freaking brisk day in London. Right here we got the big London Eye. And then over here, guess what, kids? Big Ben, Parliament. Awesome. So we didn't actually go up into the London Eye as you thought we might, but it was £25, which was like $40 to go up in it. This is the city center, which is different in the 1900s than it was now, which is just a big arcade with a McDonald's in it. Literally an arcade. Here we go, Tower Bridge into the Tower of London, which we'll get to. And then, of course, across the river view of Big Ben and Parliament. Bagpipes going on in the background. Hate to report to you, there's actually no roundabout there in front of Big Ben and Parliament. Get here a close-up of the Tower Bridge is even closer still, which was recolored for the 2012 Olympics. And, of course, we've got the Big Ben Parliament here, which has been standing since 1846, the House of All Law of London. We get closer here to Westminster Abbey, which has been the site of all coronations since 1056, officially built in 1248. Now, of course, is the new site of the New Egg here in London. The New Egg, which was not only very distinctive, but was also featured in the first episode of Season 7 of Doctor Who. You can slow this section down right here and take a look at how English has evolved since back in the day, like thou has written T-H-O-W, and even more interesting coming up here where you can see how sloth, gluttony are spelled. An amazing painting of Macbeth in the 18th century, plus a Revelations view, which I think is an amazing colorful. This is a great little diagram that I think my brother would have been able to do because he knows that much about music. And this was an interesting take on Ronald McDonald and African art. Then that night for dinner we ate shawarma, which was amazing. Taking us to the Tower of London the next day, which was, built in 1088, and if you think that it's still standing today, that's even more fascinating. Here's a market road in the Tower of London, and just all this, this is like a castle. You know what I mean? When we think of castles from back then, this is it. The symbol of the royal family here, and then the Tower of London itself. Then more medieval-looking parts of the tower. Just interesting to me. Certainly the dichotomy of it here too. This, of course, is the White Tower, which is the most famous part of the Tower of London. As we get closer, again, the dichotomy of the egg there and the apartments or whatever those are being built in the background. But just this amazing thing to think that it's been standing here since 1066. It's incredible. Dice. I thought this was really fascinating, what dice looked like back in the day. For you nerdy dice fans. Henry V's sword, which we can only imagine was used during the St. Crispin's Day speech. And then a shot here along the back. Then a joke I had about this getting us somewhere near Kent. Kentish. Another subway hop here into Tube. It's amazing how great their subway system is there. To Buckingham Palace. Now here's a great view of everything that's happening at the beautiful Buckingham Palace. No, we did not see the Queen, nor did she invite us in for tea, but we were way late in the afternoon for that. But here's just all some pretty pictures here of the Gilded Doors and the amazing site itself. Do a reverse, and here's the statue and a giant thing that stands in front of. And a shot of the eye from Buckingham Palace. Woo! The Globe Theatre, which I absolutely had to see. The outside here. This is the mural that is above the stage. Here's a shot of the stage getting ready for a Romeo and Juliet production, modern-wise. Me in front of the said stage. Some nice seating here from the Globe. A shot from the opposite side of the stage. Looking pretty nice. And then just some shots here around the Globe. Notice the thatched roof across the way. It actually has moss growing on it. Better shot there of it all the way around. Here's me on the way home, just proving how absolutely cold it was there. Me and my Inspector Space-Time spaceship. Shot of me and Jeff in front of the big thing. And then there's the three of us together there at AJ's house. Well, that was that. And overall, I had an amazing time, despite all the cold weather. It was great seeing my friends. So anyway, that's it. My name is Matteo, and I drank 20 beers.
Expedition will be extra tough. They'll have to battle 30 kilometers of grueling dirt driving during the height of the monsoon.